Happy Diwali from Filmi Ladies. Beth and Pitu are here to celebrate with you with a special episode of Silly Questions because we felt like it.
Yes, questions that kept us up all night.
That's right. If you are watching this on YouTube and you can see my background, this is the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign's quad lit up for Diwali by the Indian Grad Student Association. I don't know what year this is, but they've been doing it the last, I don't know, maybe almost 20 years now, certainly 15 years. And it is beautiful. And people walk by and they're like, what is this? Because not everybody knows. And then it's like everyone gets to find out. And it's so pretty. And the
Yay!
snacks always like have a huge line. And sometimes you're like, I can't wait for this long line. Very sad. But this year I'm gonna try again. You have to time it like dark enough to see the candles, early enough that the food is still there. It's very
Right.
complicated. What will you do to celebrate Diwali this year, Pitu?
So I'm actually going to be in LA for Halloween because Halloween is my favorite festival of the year. Sacrilege.
Nice.
I know. I was like, should I have said that? No, but like Halloween is my favorite festival of the year. So, and this year, Halloween and Diwali are coming on the same day, which is always very confusing for Indian people because we have
Yeah.
pumpkins and like skeletons outside our door, and then we also have diyas. So it's like very confusing. But when I lived in New York, I used to go to the Greenwich Village, the East Village
Oh,
Halloween parade
wow.
every year. And in LA, West Hollywood has the West Hollywood Halloween parade, and they
Cool.
stopped doing it in 2019 because of COVID, and
Hmm.
now they're resuming. So I
Oh,
have my
fun.
costume. I'm going to be Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. My husband's going to be
Classic.
the wizard, and my doggy is going to be Glinda the Good Witch. She has
Oh,
a pink, roughly sequined outfit that says Good Witch at the back and a little pink cat.
adorable.
Yeah, so Halloween, we're going to be in LA, so we'll probably celebrate Diwali on the same day. And I'll probably wear a sari. I have a sari that has, it's like a traditional kalamkari sari from Hyderabad, and it has
Mm.
images of Lord Ram, Sita, Lakshman, and also Ravan, all four
Wow,
important characters on
cool.
the sari. So I'll wear that and go to the Dia de los Muertes festival. It is going to be like
It's
a lot of
everything good
cognitive
all at
dissonance.
once.
I mean, October, November is like the best part of the year anyway, because it's like
Yeah,
everything all comes out. It's like
I
spooky
agree.
season, but also festive season. But yeah, yeah,
And you can have like autumnal spice everything, which I love.
exactly. I've been eating pumpkin spice protein bars at the gym, so I'm really enjoying myself right now.
Nice. Nice. Well, we're going to do, like I said, a round of several rounds of silly questions. Pitu's are hilarious, and so we're saving them for the end. And mine are inspired very much by some podcasts I'd listened to. So I don't want to claim credit for any of these ideas, but neither of these podcasts, to my knowledge, ever talk about anything in Indian media. So I'm not like trying to steal. The two podcasts are Extra Hot Great, which is about television, and I Saw What You Did, which is about movies. And that's a really fun podcast where two women come up with a pair of movies on a theme every episode, and it's really
Mm.
fun. And their themes are, they're all over the place. So sometimes it's like it's really hot and all I want to do is sit in the air conditioning for 2 hours.
That has been me all summer.
Yeah. All right. First question. We have prepared these in advance, so hopefully we are coherent. What woman actor would you like to see doing something that men usually or always do? And what are those roles, types of dialogues, stunts, etc.?
Okay, so one of my favorite movies is Karan Arjun because I love a good revenge story, but I also love a good reincarnation story. And the whole like bhai bhai aspect of Karan Arjun really appeals. Like that
Hmm.
movie is just amazing on so many different levels for me. And they have like a song sequence in a Kali temple. So I don't know what anyone wants. What more could you want, right? So here's the
Yeah.
thing. I want a movie like Karnarjan that has the Punarjanam concept and has the vendetta concept and has a lot of violence with lots of like corn syrup and blood
Nice.
and ketchup and all the things and lots of
Hmm.
stunts, but with two women who are sisters. And I've thought about this. I want one of the women definitely to be Aishwarya Rai because we all know I'm a diehard Aishwarya Rai fan. And I want the other person, I'm thinking either to be Rani Mukherjee or Kajal. I haven't quite decided whom of
Hmm.
those two. And I want the Aishwarya character to be this very like modern city girl who's very like pretty and fashionable. I want her to be in like mini skirts and like halter tops and boots, and the kind of girl who would not do anything even remotely, like just this very like high maintenance, like cool girl.
Mm,
And I
mm.
want the Rani or Kajol character to be somewhere from like a village, and she's much more like rough and tumble, maybe a little bit tomboyish, not afraid to use a gun or a chaku or something. And they discover that they are reincarnated sisters, and now they have to do all these like stunts and action, and they can
Nice.
have two like toy boys,
Mhm.
just two very handsome actors who don't have much to do beyond like shut up and look pretty. But this is going to be such a good movie.
Who's going to play their parent?
I thought about that. It is definitely not going to be Kiran Kher because she's very annoying. But I was actually thinking that it could be Farida Jalal because I have a soft spot for her.
Mhm.
So she could be the parent, or we could flip it and we could give them a dad, and the dad can be Kabir Bedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kabir Bedi,
That
his stentorian
movie.
voice would be, Meri betiya aayingi. Meri betiya aayingi. And then, you have Aishwarya Rai, and she goes into like Lara Croft Tomb Raider mode, and she wears
Mhm.
these like really hot snakeskin boots, and she just goes whah at someone. I live for
I love it.
this.
So Kabir and Ashwarya and Rani, you can do all of them with those sort of light eyes. Like they all could sort
Yes.
of, I don't know, they can have like a
And
weird
then
glow that
Rani's,
comes when they take revenge.
yeah, when they're angry. And
Yeah.
then Rani's voice is also kind of like raspy, which like is a little
Hmm.
bit like Kabir Bedi's. And it would be so
Hmm.
fantastic. I need this movie to happen.
I'm trying to, so when you said village, I keep thinking about, we
Mm.
keep quoting Rishi Kapoor saying like, I'm a Kapoor, I can't play poor, but that doesn't necessarily translate the same as village, but often it does. So then like, can I see either Kajal or Rani playing village?
Rani, yes.
Rani more so
Because,
for
yeah,
sure.
because we've seen her play like not like true blue rural characters, but we have
Yeah.
seen her in some very bad movies. We've seen her do
Yeah.
that, so I feel like she can pull it off. I cannot see Aishwarya pull that off at all. But Aishwarya is like the rich popular girl in like a fancy, maybe she works as a model or something. That would be so fun.
Now, are we time traveling? Is this when they are
Yes.
younger or okay? Because they
Yeah.
can do it now.
They can do it now,
Like
but
some
I
moms
feel
who have
like,
had it.
yeah. But like I want them to do all the stunts and everything
Sure.
as well. And I want the Ashwarya character to have a little bit of a chip on her shoulder and be a
Hmm.
little bit snobby and annoying. And then I
Hmm.
want the Rani character to just be like, oh, shut up and just take this rifle and shoot that guy in the face. I want that like fighting, a little bit of
Hmm.
infighting to happen between them, and some like sisterly rivalry to happen as well.
Hmm.
So yes.
Hmm.
What about you?
So there's something about Rani Mukherjee for me in this question because, of course, Aya is my best example. It's already been made. My perfect movie is already existing.
Right?
But then in Mardani, she also plays a hero, like a very masculine character. So I feel like she's really well suited for this. But
Mm.
so I wrote what I'm about to propose may exist already, and I'm just not aware of it. But you know how all the biopics about artists are almost always about men artists.
Yes.
So I want one about a woman artist. It can be fictional and therefore biopic-esque rather than,
Mm.
actual, and someone whose bad behavior is excused away and their work remains beloved. And I'm not talking bad behavior like Bill Cosby bad behavior or Woody
Ooh.
Allen bad behavior. I'm talking like is generally difficult and is rude to
Mm.
their staff. I'm talking about like that kind of bad
Right.
behavior. And I think this would be really fun. And I think it needs to be Konkana Sen Sharma.
Mhm.
So she could throw things, she can yell.
She
Um,
can be a brat.
yeah, she can be a real brat, but she's also a genius. So we'll get to see her in like fevered frenzies of creative output. She could be a composer, she could be a visual artist, she could be a writer, like whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of a painter or something where you can
Mm.
see the creative work,
Mhm.
happening. You don't have to just watch them scribbling because that's hard to do with
Yeah.
writers and composers. Or a
Yeah.
composer, you could at least hear them, you could see them
She can throw
imagining the sound and
turpentine at their assistant's head.
yeah, and she's doing like wacky ways of creating art, like the people who, like in Big Lebowski, when they like fly across the room and stuff like that. So
Right.
that's what I want. I think
Okay.
that'd be fun.
Very cool.
Okay. Second question. What film would you like to see adapted into a staged play or musical?
Gully Boy.
Oh, fun. Like a
because
so
I
kind of a
love
jukebox
Gully Boy.
musical. Yeah.
Yeah, and it I feel like it would be so perfect for a musical. Also, Gully Boy the
Hmm.
movie does not have like a gigantic cast and it can be
No.
very contained. And I
Hmm.
feel like so many of the scenes in it, like some of the slum area scenes, the little hut that Murad lives in, all of those
Hmm.
could be adapted so nicely in a play,
Hmm.
right? And then just the songs themselves, like when he's singing like Apna Time Aayega, like that would be just like electric. So I feel like Gully Boy would be perfect
Very
as like a
Hamilton.
musical. Yeah, it would be so good. I want
That
that
would
to
be
happen.
good. Yeah.
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 What
And
about
you
you?
you could bring in someone who, and dancing isn't key to this one. You could make it more so, but you don't have to.
Right.
It's interesting. I just went with my gut reaction, which was Paheli, because it's beautiful.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think watching the songs on a stage would be really lovely. And I also think a lot of fun could be had with how you distinguish ghost Kishin from regular Kishin, because the film doesn't do a whole lot of that. Like you
Yeah.
see that, like you see what little like sparkles in the wind blows or whatever when he's around, but you could do something much more dramatic,
Mm,
or you could have two different actors who are styled very similarly, or what you could do different things. And I think that would be
right.
fun.
And that one is also a much more contained kind of a
Yes.
story. It's not like some big sprawling thing that you
Yeah,
have
you
to
kind
put
of
out.
need the house and you need a
Yeah.
courtyard. And then I
That's
don't know, when
mainly
they're like
it.
coming home from their wedding, you could just have carriages going, carts or whatever going by with in front of the curtains, even, right? Like it doesn't need to be super elaborate. And
Yeah.
obviously that film has some spectacular song sequences, like with the and
Hmm.
then the stepwells and everything. So we don't need to do that. Or maybe there's like some projection involved, or fun painted backdrops or whatever. But I think you could
Yeah.
really basically stick to the house. You could have a live
Hmm.
goat. That would be cute. It's little goats running
Yeah.
around. Is that what?
And that little bird that the ghost
Yeah.
originally is, that would be so cute to like flutter
You
around.
know,
An
like when people,
animatronic bird.
yeah, or when people do Peter Pan and Tinkerbell is a light bulb or something, you could have the little
Yeah.
bird be a light bulb, or you could have the ghost almost have a little like light thing. Or his clothes could have like the LED, the fiber optic fabric that is lit
Right.
up or something. It could be really fun. I think it's a great costuming
Yeah.
exercise. So I'm sure there are many, but for some reason that one came to mind first for me and I just went with it.
And because Pahiti is based on the book by the author whose name is escaping my mind right now, but even that book is based on like a Rajasthani folktale. For all you know, the story has been
Right,
put up in villages in
right,
Rajasthan, like in the puppet shows and stuff like that. So
right.
people in Rajasthan have probably been watching that version
And
way
think how
before
cool the
Pahiti was
puppets would
conceived.
be
That would be
on a
so
live
cool.
stage. And
Yeah.
they could be life size or not. It'd be very charming. So
And
you'd be
especially in
right.
Rajasthan, they do that thing where it's like the horse, like the fabric horse that's actually like operated by humans, and that would be so cute when they come onto the stage. That would be fun.
That would be delightful. I want this
Mhm.
to exist, but
Yeah,
I also want yours to exist. I think that would be really
yeah.
fun.
There's such different vibes.
They are, but that's, that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Number three. What film do you wish had never been made? This could be because you really hate it or because it set into motion some trends or career trajectories or other things like that that you wish had not happened.
100% student of the year. Like this was like it took me 1 microsecond to come up with this answer when you sent me the question.
Oh,
And it's not even like I hate student of the year. Like I couldn't get through it because I thought it was so lame, but like it's not like horrific or whatever. It really, to me, is the genesis of this whole like Nepo scourge that Karan Johar brought upon the industry. Because I think it's with that movie that he launched Varun Dhawan and Alia Bhatt, and then he got it into his head that he could just keep launching like star kids constantly,
mm,
and they didn't have to have any standards whatsoever. So if Student of the Year had never been made, or if it had been made and it had been a complete flop and a complete disaster, then I don't think that we would be in the horrible situation we are today. Having said that, I don't hate Alia Bhatt or Varun Dhawan or Siddharth
right,
Malhotra. I
right.
just hate what it ended up doing,
What it started.
what it started. So yeah,
Interesting. That's a great answer. I had a really hard time with this one, but I did think it was an interesting question worth discussing.
yeah.
Mine, so I didn't land on this super firmly, but I think I would name Debong. Not because
Mm,
I hate Debong, but because of the slew of not particularly great South remakes that
right.
followed. Now, is it possible those would have happened anyway? Sure. But
Mhm.
to me, that was the first huge one, I think. I
Feels
think I
like
could be
it.
wrong about that, but it seems to have energized that trend if it didn't start it.
Mm.
Um, I also, sort of related to this, I am not expert enough to know what Dabang did for Salman's career, but I certainly don't need him to be around at all. So if
Yeah.
it was sort of a linchpin of his later career or something, then I'm like, well, we don't need that. Um,
Yeah.
I also was tempted to say, okay, so what is the first or the most influential of the rape revenge films? Because I don't like those, and I wish they didn't exist either.
Isn't it one of those movies that Zinat Aman did like ages ago? I
I
want to say it was
wonder,
like in the 70s. Was it called like Zakhmi Aurat or
that's
something
the
like
one
that?
I
I've
wrote
never seen it.
down. That's the
Yeah,
exact
I've
one I
never
wrote
seen it
down. I
though.
have seen
So,
it.
okay.
Yeah, what year is that? I feel like that was um definitely one of the big ones, but there must be some before. Oh no, Zakmi Orat is Dimple.
Okay.
The Zenat one, yeah, I know which one you mean. I have seen that one where she's a model and she avenges her sister and
Yeah.
everything like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're just so bleak and
Mm.
horrible and exploitative and
I've
things
actually
like
never
that.
seen any of those movies, so they don't
Oh,
really occur,
right.
like they're not a part of my headspace per se. But I did have a backup answer after Student of the Year, which
Tell me.
was I did watch Arjun Reddy, made by Banga. And I know my husband tried to get through Kabir Singh and he just couldn't. He watched like five
Sure.
minutes of it and he was like, I can't take this anymore. And he switched it off. At least I managed to get through Arjun Reddy. And then, the massive success of Arjun Reddy as well as Kabir Singh
Mhm.
then resulted in Animal, which I adamantly refused to watch.
Right.
So this whole like Vanga universe that he's created
Yeah, that's a good
is a
one.
pain in the ass also because again his movies make money, and
Yeah.
while I don't believe in censorship, I think making movies like that in a country that has the kind of social problems we have is just
Yeah.
it's so irresponsible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I do blame, because if Arjun Reddy and Kabir Singh had, I mean, people have always made problematic movies, but
Hmm.
when they sink without a trace, it's kind of like a gift to humanity. When they
Right.
become gigantic
Yeah.
blockbusters and they have massive stars, like Shahid Kapoor's not even like a massive star, but Ranbir Kapoor is a gigantic star. And then that's just sets off this like
Yeah.
terrible trajectory as well.
Yeah.
And I do judge the people who say
Yeah.
yes to those roles, just
Yeah.
FYI. Like I
Yeah.
do think lesser of them for taking those roles. So,
The Zenat film we are thinking of is Insaf Katarazu.
right. I've heard of it, never watched it.
I have watched it. You don't need to watch
Good.
it.
Okay.
Um, Also, FYI, if you want a list of films not to watch, Wikipedia does have a page for Indian rape and revenge films. And
Okay.
it's not all of them, obviously, but there is a
Right.
page with several dozen things on it. So I was kind of skimming through that, trying to find what was the earliest that I thought was
Mm,
also a big deal. And that's, yeah, so we can leave that where it is. I have one more option on mine that's going to take you the opposite direction, which is excuse my pronunciation, Shaka Pro Shaka, which is a Satyajit Ray. It's his second to last film.
okay.
It's the last one he made with Sumitra Chatterjee, whom I love. I just think that movie's terrible. And
Oh.
I am sorry that it's in Ray's oeuvre at all, but also to be the penultimate, like the very last movie is much, much better than this. But I think we all are fairly familiar that when Ray shifted to color, it's just not as good.
Mm,
This is one of the color ones. It's mainly inside, like it just does not have the the magic that a lot of
mm,
his other films have. And I don't want to say it's made without thought or anything like that. I just find this film entirely unsuccessful and kind of boring and like
mm.
everybody stop talking, like
Right. I mean, it's funny you should say that because I've not seen this movie, but
yeah.
I love Francis Ford Coppola. And I've seen the Godfather trilogy like 1 million times. I love Apocalypse Now. And he used to own the Coppola Winery up in Napa. And we'd gone there
Hmm.
for my husband's birthday because my husband is also a Coppola fan. And they have, in the winery, they have a whole section where they keep Francis's writing desk and his
Mm.
Oscars. Like you can actually see his real Oscars there. There's his, card. There's the scripts for The Godfather. It's like a great place for like a movie geek to
Yeah.
go. And now he's come out with Megalopolis, which looks utterly insane, and not even insane in a good way. It sounds horrible. And he sold his winery for 240
Uh,
million to finance this movie because newsflash, no one in Hollywood wanted to finance this film, and it
mm.
just looks so bad. And I just think, again, we get it. You're a great director. You have made some really, really iconic films, but maybe just enjoy your retirement
So
and maybe don't do films like this.
our friend Sal says, I
Mm,
went into Megalopolis expecting it to be many things, but I did not go in expecting it to be Subhash Ghai does Ayn Rand.
so bad. I was watching a video on SF Gate where people were walking out of the Megalopolis, the first show in SF, and one person literally, when they were asked like, "How did you find the movie?" He said, "I fell asleep. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I slept for like 15 minutes. I took a nap. I was like, I think that's a bad thing."
Uh, oh boy.
Having said that, I think I will watch it because I do like the premise. I like the concept of it.
Hmm.
And just as a Coppola fan, I want to watch it, but I know it's going to be bad. So I don't expect it to be. There's a character in it called Wow Platinum.
Right.
So anyway,
No.
people should learn to retire on time and appreciate the retirement is all I'll say.
Yeah.
What's your next
Okay.
question?
Your life becomes a film. Some great, outrageous wrong is done to you. Who do you want as your avenger? Time traveling for casting purposes is allowed.
Good, because my answer is Vajanti Mala.
Oh.
So, Vijayanti is my venture because she's fierce, she's sexy, she's dramatique, and
Mm.
she's a great dancer. And because she's a Bharatnatyam dancer, and Bharatnatyam has a lot of like they use a lot of mudras where they portray weapons like
Hmm.
trishuls and things like that. So I was imagining that the main scene where she avenges me, I want it to be shot in Kanyakumari, which is the southernmost point of India, at midnight. And she's going to be dancing a Tandav Nritya on the beach because Nataraj, Lord Shiva, like that avatar of Lord Shiva, is the creator of Bharatnatyam. And the world was created when he did his, like, well,
Hmm.
the world was destroyed when he did the Tandav Nritya. So she's going to do a Tandav Nritya, and it's going to be so effective. And her rage is going to be so great that a Trishul is going to come flying out of somewhere and land in her hand. And then she's going to use that to spear the bad people who did the bad things to me. There will also be torrential rain and lightning, and Vijanti Mala is going to look like a snack the entire time she does this. It's going to be fabulous.
That's
I don't
so
even feel bad.
good. That's so good.
I was so gleeful at this idea. And I was like, wait, Beth's question literally begins with bad things being done to me due to which I need avenging. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. It's worth it.
Very imaginary. So in your film, approximately what year is it to line up with her skills and all what year is this?
I
Like
think it would be like the 60s. I think it would be like the era when she did Amrapali. And I don't know if it's a period film or not, but at least for
could
that
be.
scene, she will be wearing a Bharatnatyam outfit for
Sure,
her great performance.
sure.
And then everyone will be so sad for the bad things that were done to me. But at the same time, my spirit will be happy.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Now, are you in the film watching this? Like, are you tied up to a post by somebody bad and you can see it,
I
or
think I'm dead.
you think you're
But
dead?
my
Okay.
ghost is
Sure.
blessing her and
Sure.
thanking her for her great services to me. I don't know what relation she is to me, but she was very, very offended and hurt and furious on
Hmm.
my behalf. And I thank her
Hmm.
for her kindness towards me and
Hmm.
her vindictiveness towards the bad guys. So
That is
very
incredibly filmy. I love
happy.
it. That's really good. My answer's not nearly as much fun as that.
I know. Is there torrential rain and a trishul in your
I
answer?
hadn't thought about the setting at all.
How are you
Um,
a masala fan and
I
there is no
know. I don't
trishul
know. I don't
impaling
know what
people?
it's been a really rough week at work. Maybe that's my problem. So my answer is prawn.
Oh, I
And
love prawn.
we both time traveled, obviously, for this.
Yes.
And I like how menacing he is. And I like that he can do some really stinging either speeches or catchphrases or whatever. And he's so it's not really physical, it's more like the
Like very cutting.
aiming, scolding, cutting, cut someone down
Mm,
in front of their peers. Like, I don't
mm.
know, it's that kind.
Public
Um,
humiliation, Beth.
yeah. And it could be in one of those massive living rooms where there's a party. Um,
A taxidermied leopard.
sure, there's definitely a taxidermied leopard. Yeah, it could be in a villain lair. I
Yes.
haven't really figured out what got us to this point, but
Mm.
I feel like my 70s masala soul requires prawn. But there are also many other people who would be great. Like Dharmendra would be great. Rekha would be
Yes.
great. Like there's
Yes.
no shortage of answers, but
Yes. I feel like in your scene, we need Pran in a tuxedo.
yeah,
We
he's in a
want
suit.
our Yes, we need our taxidermied leopard. We need
Hmm.
martini glasses, like hello.
Hmm.
There should probably be a party song, I'm
Yeah, there
thinking,
could be a party song. He
or
could even like
cabaret.
interrupt the party song in order to
Yes.
do the speech.
Yes. And then he's just cutting people down to size and
Yeah,
he's like, how dare you do these bad things to Beth?
yeah. And he's
Yeah.
wearing some kind of crazy wig as only he can.
Is it blonde? I feel like it should be
Yeah, it could be
blonde and
blonde, it could be
curly.
orange, it could be whatever. It can be anything.
Okay.
Okay. I think with all these questions, listeners, please write your answers in the comments because
Yes.
this is fun to think about. Okay. This next one is a little complicated. So it has a part A and a part B. Part A,
Mm.
Pitu and I both love history and at least some historical films, probably lots in both of our cases. What event, person, era, etc. from history would you like to see in a mainstream Hindi film and who should do it? That's part A.
So I definitely still want a movie that's set in like Mohenjo-daro slash
That's
Harappa
what I
slash
put.
Dholavira. Because when Mohenjo-daro was announced, I was so excited because
Yeah.
I really do like Ashutosh Gavarkar's work. I think Swades was wonderful. I
Mhm.
I find Jodha Akbar boring, honestly, because it's too slow burner romance, and also like I don't know, it's just a little boring for me. But I do think it's a well-made film. And so when he announced he was going to make a movie called Mohenjo-daro, and I really like Hrithik Roshan, I was very excited for it. And I
Mhm.
think it's insane that no one has ever bothered to make a
It is
movie.
insane.
It's crazy to me that they have never bothered because that is such a fascinating time. And the thing is, unless someone actually works for the Archaeological Survey of India, they're not going to come and hold you to insane levels of
No,
accuracy as long as they are not completely ridiculous. But,
right.
so you do have some creative license. And I do appreciate Govarkar and Hrithik Roshan and that entire cast and crew for attempting what they did. It's not,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like a great movie. It's actually kind of
It's definitely
bad.
not a great movie.
No, it's not. I was being very kind. But I appreciate the vision and I appreciate the
Absolutely. Ambition.
ambition.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's sad that it didn't land,
Yeah.
but I think that someone needs to do it again and
Yeah.
maybe come up with like a far better script and far
Yeah.
better direction and also far better acting. But I think it could be really cool, and they could maybe like show a lot of like Mohenjo-daro, they could show Harappa. There's also a civilization called Dholavira, which is
Hmm.
in Gujarat. I think
Ooh.
it's near the Rann of Kutch, and that was around the same time as Harappa.
Oh,
And
cool.
and I have a friend from back in the Twitter and the blogging days. Do you remember Darshit?
Yes.
Darshit Joshi. So he lives in
Yes.
Gujarat and he is very
Yeah.
familiar with like the Rann of Kutch and all those places. And he has offered, like, I have a standing invitation from him that whenever I go to India next, I can just like message him. And if I go to Gujarat, he will like take me to like Dholavira and stuff. So
Lovely.
I was like, yes. And please pack like theplas and dhoklas and pafda and all the yummy Gujarati food for me. We'll
Hmm.
just like nerd out.
Hmm.
So yeah, someone needs to make a movie set in that era for sure.
Yeah, that's the same thing I said. And I just said, I think it needs another chance on the big screen. And there's so much visual information from the archaeology that I think that and that was one of the things that Mohenjo-daro did at least try really hard to do,
Yeah.
could have done better. And there's parts where you're like, looks supercomputer and it looks like a
Yeah.
bad video game, but they did try.
They did.
And I maintain that I love the ending of that film, The Big Flood. I find very satisfying.
Yeah.
It's sort of
Mm-mm.
cinematically satisfying. And in fact, I can imagine watching just that part again someday.
Mm.
um, yeah, so that's what I said too. Um, Part B, is the answer different if you move your project to another Indian cinema tradition? It's like you change languages or directors or anything like that.
Yes, only because I was so impressed with Ponniyin Selvan, and that
Ah,
obviously is a different era, but it's the
yeah.
Chola
Yeah,
Empire,
yeah.
and I knew next to nothing about the Chola Empire. I knew nothing, and I think that Mani Ratnam really pulled it off. I think he did such a good job. And first of all, the cast of characters alone in that movie is insane. I had to like read up on all of the Wikipedia stuff before I went in to watch the movie because there was also the additional language barrier and it was
Yeah.
so complicated. But I think that Mani Ratnam did such an amazing
Mm.
that if no one in Hindi can make a movie on Mohenjo-daro slash Harappa slash Dholavira, I do trust in the vision and the excellence of Mani Ratnam to be able to make it.
Yeah,
And if all the people are speaking in Tamil, which makes no sense whatsoever, I am totally fine
that's
with that.
fine. That's
That's
fine.
okay. Yeah. So,
So I said
and maybe he'll
also,
cast Vikram.
oh yeah, he'd be
Yes.
great. I said probably no, I wouldn't change this wouldn't change anything, but I do kind of wish we lived in an alternate reality where it could become an amazing Indian Pakistani co-production since so many of those
Mm,
sites are actually in Pakistan.
right.
Like think of it. Think of how much could come together to make this amazing thing. But
Yeah.
obviously that's not going to happen right now, but maybe
Right.
someday it could happen. That
Right.
would be really cool. I do have an alternate answer for this question because as a museum person, I think about this kind of thing a
Right.
little more than I should. I actually have multiple alternate answers. One is I would love to see Bollywood, or as you're suggesting, maybe Tamil cinema really get to do ancient Egypt. And
Ah.
there's no reason that this should actually happen other than it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
And just the again the visual the resources to be
Yes.
used in the Indian popular cinema format would be so great. And if you've ever seen the movie
Hmm.
Gods of Egypt, which is a terrible, terrible film, truly awful. It might almost be so bad it's so bad it's breathtaking is what it is. So you
Wow.
might watch it just to be shooketh by how terrible it really is,
What
despite the
genre is
amazing
this
cast.
movie? Like, is it meant
I
to
mean,
be a comedy or something?
it's kind of a sword and
Oh,
sandal sort of thing.
okay.
So, it's incredibly bad. Gerard Butler is in it
Okay.
shouting, and there's other people who I won't, because one of these people, I didn't know they were coming. And when they appeared as the role they were, I actually grabbed my friend's hand in the movie theater. I'm like, this is amazing. um, but I would love to see India get a whack at ancient Egypt because I
Yeah.
think the spectacle aspect would be so beautifully handled. And I did honestly feel like Gods of Egypt could have benefited from some musical numbers.
Mm.
Truly, truly.
Like an Egyptian version of Azimo Shan Shahenshah sort of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was music, but there were no
Right.
dance numbers. And like, I'm sure the ancient Egyptians had dancing. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I'm sure. But have you ever seen, I've never seen the Elizabeth Taylor movie Cleopatra, but I've
I
seen a
haven't
lot of
either.
clips. But those scenes where, I mean, it was apparently like a huge box office disaster and they poured so much money into making it. And I believe Elizabeth Taylor wore a lot of her own amazing jewelry
Oh,
in that
wow.
film because her budget, it far exceeds
If you
everything.
want something done right, do it yourself.
But there's these clips that of her making her entrance as Cleopatra, and she's
Mm,
in this big like
mm.
I don't even know what to call it, but she's like in this big sort of like chariot thing, and
Yeah,
the slaves are like pulling her and everything, and it just
yeah,
everything is so like bedazzled and it looks amazing. And she has the things that Cleopatra supposedly or Nefertiti or whatever had, where the beady things on their face, and
yeah,
then the thing with the asp on top, like it's
mm,
so cool, and all the
yeah,
gold and everything
yeah.
shimmery. Um, that alone would look so good. Could
We sh
Aishwarya play Cleopatra?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I have no idea how old Cleopatra was when the asp bit her and she
Not
died.
very old, not very old, if
Okay.
I recall. We should do an episode on the Elizabeth Taylor Cleopatra just for fun.
Yeah.
That's filmy.
So, Elizabeth Taylor had like an amazing personal collection of jewels, right? Like insane jewels. And
Hmm.
Sotheby's was either Sotheby's or Christie's, one of the two. They were gonna do an auction of all of her stuff, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
expected to fetch millions. And so Sotheby's or Christie's in New York City, they were gonna do a traveling exhibit of all of Elizabeth Taylor's goodies, and it
Wow.
came to LA. But it didn't come to San Francisco. I was so angry about it,
Mm,
but you had like a 2 week opportunity to see it in LA and New York. I think they went to Tokyo, Dubai, China, or something. They went
wow.
to like a bunch of cities, Singapore, I think, like a bunch of cities
Wow.
all over the world. And for 2 weeks, you could see it. And then it was going to be auctioned off. But like it had some real, like breathtaking jewels.
Sounds
So,
amazing.
yeah.
My other alternate answer is that I think it would be cool to do a Silk Road spice routes kind of film. So it's going to be like the first century common era somewhere in there. Think how multicultural you could get big stars
Mm-hmm.
from all these different film industries across
Mm-hmm.
Asia into Europe, like and
Mm-hmm.
into North Africa. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I
The
want like a
epic.
first century silk trade,
That would make
spice
for a good
trade thing.
mini series.
Yeah, it might be too big for a
Because
film.
yeah, yeah.
Too big for just one film.
It needs more than Jupiter Shubkamnae to happen.
You know, all those gods involved.
You need a lot of gods giving their blessings to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, what character should sign up for sessions with Dr. Jahangir Jug Khan from Dear Zindagi?
So my answer was poor little Rajkumar Rao, the tailor from Stree,
Oh, that's a good one.
because he made the ridiculous mistake of falling in love with a demon.
Right.
And he's basically in this ridiculous romance with a person who is unearthly. And his
Yeah.
scenes in Three too, where he's just like the heart
Yeah.
eye emoji, it just
Yeah.
so sweet. He like really broke my
It's
heart.
not only unrequited, it's unrequitable because she can't. Yeah. That's a
Also, can
very
you
good idea.
imagine if he like had a fight with her? If they had like a lover's patch, she'd just end him.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
fight with that girlfriend.
Genuinely, I would love to see Rajkumar Rao and Shah Rukh in a film together in like a kind of
Yes.
a doctor patient, teacher student, father
Yeah.
son, like some kind of that kind of
Holmes and Watson. Yeah, they would be
yeah,
adorable
like
together.
senior junior partnership of some kind. Not
Yeah.
that doctors are senior and patients are junior, but you know what I mean,
Right.
like that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
seeking wisdom has wisdom kind of thing like that. That'd be so interesting.
Yeah.
So I also chose something from this year because my initial answer was all of them. So I decided to limit myself and I thought about Deepak and Pool from Lapata Ladies
Oh, so
because they've had a really
sweet.
rough beginning. They've been through a
They
lot. So I feel
have.
like they could
Yeah.
probably use some advice from someone older and wiser who could kind of now he probably knows a lot about good marriages, even if he cannot fully have one himself or whatever. But I think they could use some help. And I think talking,
Yeah.
I'm sure going to therapy would be very shocking in their tiny, tiny village in the 90s.
Mhm.
But what year is it in that movie? 97, 98, something like
It's
that.
I'm not sure, but it is an era when they have like a mobile phone, which is insane
Pre-smartphone,
to me
but
that they
yeah.
have cell
Okay, so it's like
service in their village,
2002 or
but
something. Yeah. So
maybe.
I think someone from a bigger city perspective, but who is gentle, like could be
Hmm.
a nice helper for them. And I'm not saying they need a ton of sessions, but like,
Yeah.
4 or 6, something like that.
Yeah. More like life coaching, maybe.
Yeah.
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 So sweet. Okay.
Okay. Imagine you have infinite resources to make an investigative podcast, which of course are all the rage. What film world mystery would you focus on? It could be real life or it could be a fictional mystery from the story of a film. What would you choose?
So I have always been intrigued by Raj Kiran, the actor, because
Ah,
he kind of like disappeared without a trace, if I'm not mistaken. Like no one knows where he is. He just sort
good
of like
one.
vanished off the face of the earth. I have no idea where this person, like no one really knows where he is. So I think something similar happened to like no, it wasn't Naveen Nishchal, but yeah, Raj Kiran for sure. And he was a big star at one point
Yeah.
in time. And apparently there were like some family troubles. There was some, I think, some mental illness involved as well. And people don't like his own family doesn't know where he is, which is very sad.
Mm,
So I kind of want to know what happened to him. I thought he was like a really good actor. And how do you disappear when you're a Bollywood star?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to leave the country or can you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
I have
question.
many questions about him. What
Yeah.
about you?
Well, I mean, Divya Bharti is the obvious one, right? But I'm not actually invested in
Yeah.
her in any way. I think I've only seen one of her films, but like, I mean, that's very, very sad. But
Yeah.
I'm not like that does not run through my mind at night.
Mm.
This is not really a mystery so much as something I would like to know more about. Both these people have died, so it's pretty hard. But I once heard some amazing gossip about Uttam Kumar and Supriya Devi, though the actress with whom he had a long-standing relationship
Mm.
outside of his marriage. I would love to know more about that because you know me, I love the vintage film gossip, and
Yes.
vintage Bengali film gossip is even harder if you are not a
Right.
Bengali speaker to come across. I always ask people to ask their parents to tell me things or their grandparents. I never get very far with that. Um, so that's what I'd like to know more about. Like, because there must be people alive still who witnessed things or saw them say
So I
something
have questions.
like that.
I know
Yeah.
Uttam Kumar was a big superstar, but was Supriya Devi also like an
Yes.
actor?
Yes. Big
Okay.
star.
Was
Yeah.
she big?
Yeah. I mean, she's not as big a star as he is, but nobody was. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah, she's
yeah.
a big
But
star
she
too.
wasn't like Suchitra Sen level though.
It, pretty close, but not quite, I
Okay.
would say. Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
he was married. Was
Hmm.
she single or
This
married
is what
or?
I think I don't even remember. I believe she was married in the 50s and got divorced. And then some sources say that she and Kumar did get married in the 60s. And
Hmm.
I don't know for sure that that is true. But
Okay.
maybe I'm just not, I haven't researched enough because, um, yeah, so like Wikipedia says he didn't get divorced. He had two wives. So I don't know. And like
Mm.
I don't know how you pull that off in the 60s in India and you're not
Yeah,
converting to
that would be
Islam or anything.
bigamy.
So like
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
Um the Wikipedia entry is not well written about this aspect, so like I don't know. And hopefully I never hear from the Bengali film fans on this podcast if there are any,
Right.
but you know, I need to push this out more. But yeah, I
Right.
but this falls under the this does not impact me. I'm just curious. I could just leave it alone, and probably there's better things to put my podcast investigative. So, you know,
You're
one
just
thing
being a
it
nosy Parker.
yeah, exactly. So it would be more interesting to dig into like slimy producers and actually bring
Mm.
down somebody who is bad, like casting
Yeah.
couch people or whatever. But I don't, because I don't pay attention to gossip, current gossip in
Mm.
particular, I don't know anything about, I don't even know where to start. What would
I
be a
know
good thing
that
to investigate? So that's where it should go, I'm sure.
there's the one thing that has intrigued me a lot is in the aftermath of Sri Devi's death, Reddit was full of
Oh
a lot
God.
of conspiracy theories, most of
Hmm.
which centered around Boni Kapoor and insurance scams and things like that, which is a
Oh my
little too
God.
sordid for me to imagine.
That's
um
awful.
yeah, but at least speaking with my husband, he was like, if someone is like, because my mother-in-law was a doctor, so they used to
Mhm.
have like medical discussions at home, and he said that if someone is drunk, or if they've had like prescription killers in their system or whatever, and then they are in a bathtub in like hot water, it is very, very easy to like lull themselves into sleep and to basically
Oh,
drown,
they
which is
drown.
essentially what also happened to Matthew Perry.
Right.
Because he basically drowned in his own home
Yeah.
because he had so
Yeah.
much prescription
Yeah.
painkillers in his system, and I think he also had alcohol in there. So
Mm.
that is a very, I mean, that is a thing that happens. But i
Horrible
think
accident.
I think people just were not able to cope with the fact that such a massive
Yeah,
superstar was gone like that.
of course.
And
Of
I
course.
think that
Yeah.
led to all of these, questions and stuff like that. I don't I don't personally believe that, that there was any foul play involved. I think that was just fans kind of like lashing out and,
Yeah.
not
Acting
wanting to
out.
believe, because it
Yeah.
just feels so unbelievable, right? Like
It's
she goes
very,
into
yeah,
the
it's completely
bathroom.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds kind of made up. Like if that was
Mhm.
if that was in a film, people would be
Yeah.
pointing out plot
In
holes.
Dubai, right? Like, or
Yeah.
somewhere not in India. So like
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah,
she
that
was
adds
there
to it
attending
too.
like a nephew's wedding or something.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think there's anything sorted. I think it was just wrong place, wrong time. And
Horrible
I just kind
accident.
of wish that someone, her husband, her children, all the people who had attended the family wedding, I wish someone had stopped her from getting into a bathtub
Yeah.
or a shower when she should probably have been tucked into bed
In
and like
bed.
nighty night,
Yeah.
sleep off the
Yeah.
substances. Yeah, I feel,
Yeah.
I wish that had happened, but I don't
Mm.
really believe but I think that that could be very meaty for an investigative podcast, because there were certainly a lot of like rumors swirling around. Like Reddit was on
Mm.
fire for days.
I bet. But that to me that
Yeah.
falls under like just leave well enough. Like it's
Yeah.
horrible, leave it alone. Or
Yeah.
maybe or at least wait longer. it's too recent in a way.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago, but it's too recent. I was trying to think of a mystery from within a film that doesn't get a good conclusion that I would want
Mm.
investigative podcast about. And I can't believe I couldn't come up with anything
I
given how
couldn't
much I
either.
like, but I feel like they tend to get wrapped up with a tidy little bow and then
Yeah.
and that's that. But
Or they make it so cliffhangery that you know that they're gonna come up with like a second one. Like three, the first one definitely had these like questions at the end where you
yeah,
see Shraddha in the bus with the choti, and you're like, wait, what just happened? But you knew that they were setting it
yeah,
up for a
yeah.
sequel. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like how did Munjia get out of that that tree when it was chopped down and
Right.
burned and chopped down or whatever, but
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the last one. This is a quiz question.
Oh no, you had one question that I was
Oh,
very
did I
excited
have
about that
another
I
one?
think you forgot. Yes, which I'm sad about because I wanted to answer it. You had asked what two characters from different films should team up in
Oh,
their own
that's right.
project.
What should they? I forgot to answer that one. So tell me
My answer is
yours.
insane. My answer is my favorite male film character of all time, which is Dr. Ashok Ganguly and Geet from Jab We Met in a zombie comedy movie.
Tell me more.
Or just a zombie drama, even. Okay, so have you seen Train to Busan?
No. You
Best
know I
movie
haven't.
ever.
It's too scary.
Oh, it is so good. There's so much blood in it, though, but it's
Yeah, no,
enjoyable.
too
So
scary.
it's like, it's a Korean zombie drama, best movie ever, and it's on a train, right? Like all these amazing things happen on a train. So like imagine burning train, but like it's full of zombies. So it's
Right.
literally called Train to Busan, and we know that Geet from Jab We Met has nightmares about missing trains. So we know she would not want to miss that train,
She
right?
would not.
So she does not miss that train. And she and Dr. Ashok Ganguly are the only two people on that train who are not zombies. And now these two people have to join forces together and somehow make it alive to their end point, because we need Dr. Ashok Ganguly to be reunited with his wonderful wife, Ashima. And we don't really care. I don't care who Geet ends up with, but I do want Geet to survive. So this would be amazing. And can you imagine Dr. Ashok Ganguly and Geet joining forces together? It would be
Is this
hysterical.
in place of the train crash he does experience, or is this
Yes.
okay? So
He does not die in the train crash.
he's not
No,
having like double
no,
train trauma. Okay.
no.
Fresh trauma.
It's fresh trauma for
Okay.
doctor. Maybe they will also afterwards they will sign up for therapy sessions with Dr. Jahangir as well. They will need
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I want to see 3 hours of absolute chaos and mayhem and Geet talking Dr. Ashok's ear off until even he cannot take it anymore. And he takes out all of his annoyance on her, on the zombies. Can you imagine our wonderful intellectual, cerebral, soft-spoken Dr. Ashok Ganguly trying to kill the zombies? I can.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's dealing with American University undergrads all the time, so I'm sure he has some skills.
Yeah.
He's a professor, he's got something.
So
What
yeah,
is he
that's
a
the movie I
doctor
want.
of? Is it physics? Chemistry?
Chemistry?
Something,
I
one
feel
of
like it
those.
is some
The
science.
hard science, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like political science or something like that. I bet if there are any poli sci majors listening to this, I apologize. I've really been picking on poli sci this week in my job. I don't know why. Like poli sci has never done anything wrong to me. Apologies. I don't know. Yeah, so I forgot to answer this clear on, and I just feel like I don't know. So I just watched the Sing 'em again or whatever it's called trailer where
Oh
all these people
Lord.
are popping up. And that did get me thinking like Deepika has played a fair number of characters that I think would be fun to insert into
Mm.
other things probably. So like can I imagine a a world where one of those joins with someone. Yeah, yours is so well thought out and mine will not be. So I will try to come up with something and add it to the comments. But
I
yeah.
love Meena Ma from Chennai
Yeah.
Express.
Yeah.
She's so cute and sassy and adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, Deepika has some really fun characters. I also like her bar dancer character Mohini from Happy New Year, which is a horrible movie, but she's
Right.
funny in it.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't want Padmavat Deepika with like
Oh, so like if we had her character from Pathan, and then we had whose name
mm,
why am I blanking on her name?
I don't remember her name either.
And then we had Karina's Pakistani agent from Agent Vinod. Like they could
Yeah,
be together and kick ass. That would be fun.
yeah. I mean, I feel like Karina would outact Deepika in every frame.
I can kind of see them complementing each other, actually. They have
Yeah.
slightly different energies, I think. Like Deepika, I don't mean soft as in a wimp, but like we've talked about, Karina's kind of got mean girl energy. And I don't
Yes.
think Deepika tends to, I'm sure she could
Mm-mm.
channel that, but I don't,
Yeah.
that's not the vibe I get from her in roles usually. So I feel like
Yeah.
that could be kind of fun to put them. Yeah, we need some kind of Charlie's Angels situation where we pull some of these women from different movies and put them
Plus,
together.
you just recently watched Boom, which shockingly to
Sure
me, you
did.
said you did not hate.
Sure did. And if you want to see what I wrote about it, go to the Cultural Gutter website and look for my piece on Boom that came out last weekend or last week.
Did you seriously not hate it? Was it
I
not
seriously didn't
horrific?
hate it. I seriously didn't hate it. It's tacky,
Yeah.
but I don't actually think it's bad. I think it,
Is
and I just think it's tacky, but it's like
okay.
early 2000s,
Yeah.
in the setting, to do this film at that time, like, of course it was going to be like this. And like that, our friend Melanie, the Tiger Schroff scholar, was showing me
Mm.
a thing from a film fair article where people said the person interviewing Amitabh Bachchan said, "I've heard that some journalists have told you you should apologize for Boom." And so he's like, "Okay, fine, I apologize for Boom." And I was like, I am no mega fan of Amitabh Bachchan outside of his roles, but like, where do you get off asking an actor to apologize for being in a clearly fictional, ridiculous film? And also,
Right.
if you do, this is the one you go after him for.
Right.
He's killed so many people in so many films. Like, this is your
Uh,
problem. This is
right.
your problem. Like, it just shows that, violence is fine, but
Mm.
it just I was I mean, obviously journalists of certain kinds are a scourge.
Yeah.
But I was, and I'm no great defender of film fare as
Mm.
journalism, but and I know they're not the ones that asked it, but they basically did ask it by putting it in this interview. So I'm like, just come on. And his answer is pretty blunt and short, and as it should be, right? Like
Right.
that's a really dumb thing to say to an actor.
Right.
And also, if you want to explore what does someone of your stature doing a film like this mean,
Mm.
like what does it mean to you? What do you think it means to the public? That would be a question, but
Right.
not someone says you should apologize. You should apologize for doing this film. Like, shut up.
Right.
But yeah, I want Charlie's Angels full of a bunch of the kick-ass women, including some of the people who we don't necessarily, maybe a role that we didn't know. Like you wouldn't think that Geet would necessarily be a zombie fighter, but I see what you're doing there.
Yeah. Because she's so fierce. She's not going to back down without a fight.
Yeah, but if we got like Ronnie from Mardani and put her
Mm.
with Deepika from Patan, and then we chose Karina from Tashan, maybe
Mm.
like
Yeah.
have something like that. That's kind of a slightly weird combo, but yeah, maybe I'll come up with a Charlie's Angels
Yeah.
trifecta. It'll be a little
Katrina could be a
more.
good Charlie's Angel.
She could. I don't know if I would put her in a movie because I am who I am, but you know, yeah, maybe
She
something
could be
like
in a
that.
special dance number in the Charlie's Angel movie.
Ooh, and then assassinate somebody too.
Actually, you know what? You know who would
Dancing
be amazing?
assassin.
Justice for Bipasha. Bipasha could
Oh
be in
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I love
Mon
Bipasha.
Monali Bose, which is the one who's on the beach, not the
That's
beach one, the other one.
Monali.
So the other one, the
Shonali Bose is
Shonali, the
the
police
detective.
officer from Doom
Monali
2.
is the sister in Brazil. She's probably doing advanced Zumba with
Right,
Bela from
right,
Munja.
right.
I love this alternate universe where
Uh,
Bela goes to Brazil to do advanced Zumba and Monali like befriends her.
they should
That'd
be
be so
friends.
great.
Yeah,
That'd be so cute. Yeah.
yeah, I think
And
so.
then Munja goes to Brazil and creates havoc.
Okay, now we are ready for our quiz question. So,
Okay.
listeners, I provided Pitu with the list from Letterboxd. I have created a list on Letterboxd of every film we've discussed in any significant way on this podcast. And interestingly, when I pulled the list, it was 200 films exactly, which is shocking to me. But when you think we typically do at least two films per episode, there we go.
Yeah.
So I am asking Pitu to name the lowest five ranked according to Letterboxd and the highest five ranked according to Letterboxd. I would have gone to IMDb, but I couldn't figure out an easy way to create the list. So I just went with Letterboxd. So what do you think from fifth worst to most worst, so to speak, are according to Letterboxd?
I feel like God, which is a movie that I personally love and will
Okay.
defend,
Okay.
is probably very badly ranked.
Okay.
Um I feel Fan is badly ranked just because Fan
Mm,
gets a lot of crap from people, even though I don't think it's as hideous as people think it
hmm.
is. But I just feel like people don't
Yeah,
like
you and I
it.
are fans of Fan. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Janeman, even though again I enjoy it, is
Okay.
just I think Jab
Okay.
Harry Met Sejal is a
That one is
horrible
on the
movie.
list.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. That movie is
It is
horrible.
it
Having
is third on the
I did
list.
watch it. I have watched it
Sure.
multiple times
Sure.
too. I also really, really love Jab Tak Hai Jaan, even though I understand
Mm,
that is a hideous movie. So it wouldn't
right.
surprise me if that was on the list either.
Okay. Okay.
So those would be my
So from
guesses.
almost worst to very worst, we have Murder Mubarak coming in
Okay.
at fifth worst. Dilwale,
Oh, that's a horrible
Jeb
movie.
Harry Met Sejal, The Archies,
Is also horrible.
and I'm very proud to say I brought this movie to the podcast, Bad News.
Okay.
But all of these had over a two-star average. So none of these
Okay.
were as low as you can go. Among the others that were in the 10 worst on our list
Mm.
are Ravan, um, and then also Gadar 2.
Oh yeah. Oh, Gadar too. So terrible.
Okay, now almost highest to highest according
Okay.
to Letterboxd. What do you
I'm
choose?
gonna guess Devi because hello, it is
Yes,
amazing.
that's number
I would also
three.
guess Charulata because again,
Ah,
also
okay.
amazing.
Not there,
Um,
interestingly.
this is a little bit of like a wild card, and I might be a little bit like it's just a subjective thing, but I feel like Paheli should be a highly ranked
Mm.
movie. So I would say Paheli as well.
Hmm.
Um, maybe Kudita Pashan, Hungry
Mm.
Stones,
Hmm.
and I'm guessing maybe Kandu Konde Kandu Konde. But again, I
Ah,
love that movie. So
well,
those would be my guesses.
Letterboxd shows I think some of the influence of people who have only watched Ray films.
Mm.
So fifth to best rated, we have Omkara at five,
Love Omkara.
Jana Aranya at four, which is
Okay.
maybe my tied for my favorite Ray film. Devi. Lapata
Mm.
Ladies is two,
Oh,
and then
okay.
Mahanagar is one.
Oh, I love
That
Mahanagar.
is the
Okay.
best ranked
Yeah,
film that we have discussed. Yeah.
that's a
So
good
Ray
list.
coming in at three of the five.
Yeah, of
Top,
course. But I'm
tops.
surprised that Charlotta isn't there.
I also am surprised Charlotta is not there.
Huh. Okay.
So anyway,
I
that
mean,
is
I
the
would
end
put
of.
Charlotta there before I put Lapata Ladies, but that's fine.
Oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
Lapita Ladies
But
is
maybe
cute and
there's
sweet and
also,
everything, but it's not
yeah.
those.
But I mean, there's probably also like a recency bias too, I
Totally,
would imagine.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, those were my questions for Pitu. And oh my gosh, you guys, if you've got a glass of water, take your sip and then finish it so it doesn't come out your nose because I think Pitu's questions are hilarious.
Okay, you actually did also ask me another question. Where did it
Oh
go?
no.
Ugh, we WhatsApp so much that I can never find anything. You asked me a question about someone being completely chaotic.
Oh, don't worry
Um,
about it. We can do that one another time.
okay. You had basically said something about what woman actor would you like to see
Yeah.
starring in a role where she plays an absolute chaos demon, and my answer was Kangna Ranaut because that's not acting. That's just who she is. She can just show up.
That's funny. That's funny. My answer, as it often is again Konkana Sen Sharma because I haven't seen
Okay.
her do that, and I think she'd be really fun to watch her
Yeah.
be like fully, just fully off the
Unleashed.
wall and unleashed. Yeah, in
Yeah.
kind of many different directions you could take that. But
Right. Okay. So my questions are you, Beth Watkins, are on the jury of the Vimal Pan Masala, Haldi Ram Farsan and Chivda, Lakhani Shoes Geo Filmfare Awards 2024, actually of all time. So, whom are you going to give the following awards to? Most messy betch.
well, I'm on record as saying I think it's Yash Chopra for the casting of Silsila.
Right?
And maybe it didn't create the biggest splat at the time, but I think that messiness has endured and is
It
enjoyed
has.
and appreciated by wave after wave after wave of film viewers. So I think it's kind of a
Yes.
lifetime achievement, messy
It
B.
is. It's such a lifetime messy bee. It's also it. I still see memes about it, Beth.
Right.
I mean, even back in the Tumblr days, people used to make Tumblrs about it. And even now, like Gen Z is making memes about Salsala. That movie is one so
And
messy.
I mean, let us not forget, he did in some way or other unleash Uday Chopra into the world and make us all deal with him. So that's also a little
Mm,
messy. So I'm
that
like, you
is
like
very
my
messy.
films? Just you wait.
It's very slippery also due to the
Yeah.
copious quantities of baby oil that have been used in his shirtless scenes.
Who did you choose?
Um, my most messy batch was Karan Johar
Yeah.
because he is just the definition of an instigator.
Yeah.
Like he can't leave. What is that saying?
Well
Leave
enough
enough.
alone.
Yes, well enough alone. He just has to like
Can't
go
do
around
that.
creating problems. So
Yeah.
that's my messy batch.
That's a good
Okay,
one.
most impressive screaming
Yeah,
in Hindi filmdom.
I have two answers came to mind. And so listeners, I did not, but you sent me these while I was at work today and I didn't get a chance to look at them. So I'm winging these answers and I reserve the right to update things in the comments if I think of a better answer. Two people came to mind. One is Nirupa Roy.
Ah, yes.
Just because of the emotional impact of her screaming. I think it's not like it's the most blood curdling, but I think,
Right.
we all resonate when Ma screams. But
Yes.
what about like Aruna Arani? I bet she does some good screaming.
Yeah.
I can't name you
Hers
an
will be
example, but
more
I'm
high
sure I've heard
pitched.
it. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
going to be more like villain lair oriented
Yeah.
and
More
things like that.
shrieking,
More
perhaps.
shrieking and maybe while dancing,
Mm.
even.
Yes. And maybe throwing knives at people.
Yeah. Yeah.
My most impressive screaming was actually Amrish Puri because Amrish Puri's voice, his baseline decibel level is always like very
Hi.
high. But when
Hmm.
he's screaming or shouting at people, it is
Yeah.
eardrum shattering where I
That's
have to
true.
mute my. It is also accompanied by extremely beady eyes that are at risk of popping out. Like, have you heard about this very common problem that exists among French bulldogs? Also, Boston Terriers.
Oh,
They have a problem where sometimes their eyes pop out and apparently you can take them to the vet and the eye goes back in. I know,
it's
but
disgusting.
that is
Poor
that
little
is what
creatures.
Amrish Puri makes me
This
think of.
is this is why humans should not overbreed things. This is
Yes,
bad.
they shouldn't. But yes, most impressive screaming would be Amrish Puri, and that's more of the blood curdling kind. Okay, which actor or actress or whatever is a bottle of melatonin or Ambien or any kind of sleep aid in human form? My questions
Arjun,
are very mean.
they're funny. Arjun Rumpel.
Yes. I would say also the other Arjun Kapoor too.
Yeah, for me, I'm still going to give it to Rumpel because the type, just the era and everything. Like, I'm not interested in the films I've seen him in anyway, and then he makes it worse.
Yeah.
So Arjun Kapoor is in a few movies that I like, whereas I'm not sure I
Right.
like any films that Arjun Rampal is in, except Om Shanti Om and
Oh,
Ravan. I
right.
am an apologist for Ravan. So, but is
Right.
I don't like them because of him at all. So
Right.
yeah, for me, he's incredibly dull.
He's very much like wooden. He's the definition
He's
of
so
wooden.
wooden. He's a log. Yeah.
Yeah. My melatonin in human form is Janvi Kapoor.
Oh,
Because she has zero screen presence. She also, there's something about her that is so low energy, Beth. Even her voice, it's very monotone to me. Like it puts me to sleep when she talks, like even in her interviews and stuff. She always sounds tired to me. And I don't know
mm.
what that is, but she just seems very low energy where I'm like, girl, take a shot of espresso. Take like 2 shots of espresso. Have some
Oh.
affogato. I don't know, do something. And to be the daughter of a live wire like Sri Devi, so I would say Janvi Kapoor.
Mm.
Okay, this is for someone who you think actually has talent. So the direction you would give them would be shut the fuck up and act.
So meaning like stop your social media yapping and focus on your acting?
Yes.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'm not attuned enough to know. So let me get back to that one and maybe put my answer in the
Okay.
comments. But well, okay, here's one. I don't pay particular attention to this person at all, but
Mm,
I do think they can be very, very good when they want to. And I do think I wish they would focus their career a little bit more in different ways. Priyanka
mm.
Chopra. I think
Yeah.
she's actually quite good sometimes, but
Mm.
her, that wasn't
She's
she
very
doing like
cringy.
lifestyle something or other, or like cheesy advice somewhere? Like I just
Yeah.
and it's not that I think I'm not saying like leave America and go back to India and focus on that. That's not what I'm saying. But if
Hmm.
you're gonna stay, if you're gonna try to make it in America, you need to choose
Yeah.
way better, or get some better people with you or something like. But if you are getting offers to really do some good acting in India, please don't pass those up because I do think she's genuinely very good at times. Not
Yeah.
always by any means,
Hmm.
but yeah, so it's more like stop being distracted and act.
Yeah.
Like the same thing, but she comes to mind a bit.
Mm. I think for me, it would be Kangna,
Oh,
because she
sure.
has single-handedly destroyed her legacy. And she's such
Yeah,
a fine actor,
she is
and
good.
she's single-handedly destroyed her legacy due to her inability to shut up. I will admit, in the beginning, when she was taking on the likes of Karan Johar and stuff, I was applauding her
Oh
because
yeah.
she just seemed like she was so bold and forthright and honest and didn't
Yeah.
suck up to anyone. But eventually, I was just like, girl, just shut up. Just shut up
Yeah.
and act. We know you can
Yeah.
act. The other
Yeah.
person who comes to mind is also Rani Mukherjee. I think she's such a fine actor, but oh my
That's
God,
true.
her
Yeah, don't do
roundtable
any more round
discussions.
tables. They don't serve you well.
She's just like, she just creates like enemies left and right when she opens her mouth, and it's like, we don't want to hear your opinion, just act. This is why I think Ranbir Kapoor is really really sharp, and he doesn't get enough
Yeah.
credit for it, where he
Yeah.
just, he has no social media presence. He has a finsta, I'm sure, but he doesn't
Yeah.
talk about anything. He's very bland,
Yeah.
and he just lets his work do the talking. So
Yeah.
the next award that I would like you to present would be fashion icon for the ages.
Helen.
Ah, okay.
Because obviously I'm going with on-screen fashion, which is not always
Yes.
her choosing. I know there's costumers involved, but since Helen did do some of her own styling, I think that
Yeah.
a good one.
So you're a fan of the outfits and the ostrich feathers and the sequins and the
I think
glitter?
they're exuberant. I think they very often do fit with not just the vibe of the scene she's in, but like often I feel like her outfits really complement her dancing in a way.
Yes.
Like a dance costume is not the same as a singing costume or an ice skating costume, or we're probably more similar. But
Mm,
so I think not all the time, but sometimes, and I say this as a person who has no expertise in dance or costuming whatsoever, but
mhm.
I just feel like what she's wearing makes so much sense for what she's physically doing, as well
Yeah.
as the lyrics of the song and the setting and things like that. So I think there's a lot of, I know sometimes it kind of looks like someone just rummaged through like the Christmas decoration box and threw them on her. But I think often there is actually a great deal of thought put into some of the things that she wears. And if you kind of let yourself sit with it for a minute, they're really well done. But also, she
Yeah.
can wear anything and she still looks and dances amazing. Like she's great no matter
Yeah.
what you slap her in. And I include hair and makeup in that as well.
Hmm.
Because there's so many things that would overwhelm anyone else or just
Yeah.
feel wrong somehow. Like you can't put Vijanti Mala in some of these
No.
outfits. You obviously can't put Wahida Rehman in some of these outfits.
Right.
You couldn't. I think there's a lot of overlap between what Helen can do and what Aruna Irani can do, but they're not exactly the same.
They're
So
not.
you couldn't even have Aruna Irani carry all this off, or Bindu, or like there's
Right.
something about Helen that I feel like she
Yeah.
really is just a complete one of a kind. And I mean, the likes will probably never come again because we don't need that kind of character in films as much
Right.
anymore. But and even if we did at another time, it probably wouldn't be exactly the same. So yeah, Helen.
I mean, one of her most amazing costumes to me, where it fits so well with the scene and the vibe and the song, is her song Mehbooba Hai Mehbooba from
Of course.
Sholay. That outfit that she's wearing with like the kerchief like thing on her head, and then the sequins and the skirt, it sits so low on her,
Yeah,
and it's so low,
it's so
and it
low.
brings to mind some of those low-rise jeans that we had to
Yeah,
live through. And
yeah,
but the way she sways her hips,
yeah,
her hip movements alone are like gobsmackingly, like, the woman
yeah,
is fluid,
yeah.
and just the way she, just the way she gives space to the camera, just stunning. So yeah, great answer. My answer is Bapi Lahiri.
Of course.
Because I love Bappy. And I
Yes.
love that Bappy, because to me, fashion or being a fashion icon is about being yourself and about saying to hell to the world, and you wear what you want to wear and it doesn't matter what people think. And just the confidence with which Bappy Lahiri would get dressed in the morning and he would wear all of his gold jewelry and he would wear his blinky sunglasses and he'd be like, "It me, bitch." I love that. I
Yeah.
actually had the good fortune to attend a Bappy Lahiri concert in Chicago.
Oh,
He
cool.
was, I think he was like 60 years old or something. And the man was on stage the entire time. He sang for 3 hours straight. He did
Wow.
not miss the beat. He was perfect. He was absolutely perfect. He was engaging with the crowd. And he just, something about Bappy just makes me smile. And to me, a fashion icon is someone that when you look at their outfit, it's them.
Yeah,
No one else could do it. And
sure.
it's them. And it's just part of their persona and who they are. And I love Bappy's attitude of, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I don't need your approval. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just, I love Bappy Lahiri so much. And
Yeah.
I love his ownership, his hair. I love that. I also love his utmost confidence. And I'm not being snarky at all when I say this because it truly makes me giggle. But I remember watching an interview of his where he was asked whom he loves in the West, and he said he loves Michael Jackson. And then he was also asked about like music influences and stuff, and he said, "मैं disco banaya hai, मैं India में disco laya, मैं disco banaya." I love the temerity of this man to just say with absolute unshakable confidence, "I made disco." Yes, you did, Bappy. You did make disco.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue
Um,
with you about that.
no.
Not much anyway.
I'm like, yes. Okay. Who would you give the Vimal Pan Masala Haldiram Farsan Lakhani Shoes Geofilm Fair award to? Someone who always understands the assignment.
There are a lot of people I think I could give
Mm.
this to, but my favoritism will show, and I will say Rani Mukherjee, because I don't think I've ever seen her in a film be wrong-footed, you know?
Mm.
Um, and she has played a range of characters. It's not like, okay,
Mm.
well, she's always really good at being this one thing. She's good at a
Right.
lot of things. So I
Yeah.
think I would give it to her off the top of my head, but there are a lot. Like I think Reika could get this award,
Yes.
at least based on what I've seen. I've not seen all of her films, but you
Mhm.
know, there are a lot of people who understand the
Yeah,
assignment.
that's a tough category. That is a category
It
that
is.
there's going to be a lot of like fighting involved.
Mhm.
My award goes to Irfan because I love him, and I have never seen Irfan make a bad move. Like, he's great.
I have to share. So it's so funny you say that because I just thought of him as you were beginning to talk. So
Yeah.
years ago when what was the movie with Arjun and Ranveer Singh and Priyanka?
Gunde.
Gunde, which I've not been able to finish. I did try,
It's
but I was like,
terrible.
he's in that, right? And I had a friend on Twitter, Abe Goldfarb. We know
Okay.
through Abe Goldfarb. He said something like, Irfan was just gave this amazing masterclass in not giving a fuck in that film. Something like that. And it was so funny. And I didn't even make it as far in the film to when he appears because I just couldn't. But like I want to watch even Irfan in it just for that, you know,
Yeah.
like this sort of masterly, I give no more effort than this film asks of me. You get nothing more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he for
Yeah.
sure would get this award for sure.
I know. I
And
need to
again,
watch
like
Makbul again.
variety of projects and still
Everything.
aces in all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to me that like one of my favorite genres is romantic movies. And I'm not that much a fan of rom-coms. I like romantic drama a lot
Hmm,
more, especially things that make me cry. And even though I'm a massive Shah Rukh Khan fan and I think Shah Rukh is like the best at romantic drama and my favorite Hindi movie of all time is K3G, I actually, to me, the embodiment of a romantic character is actually Dr. Ashok Ganguly from The
sure,
Namesake. And
sure.
it's so interesting because when we think of a romantic hero, we think of someone like Shah Rukh from K3G or Kuch Kuch Hota Hai,
Sure.
like someone who's very conventionally super good looking and very well dressed and trendy and all of those things, like a very typical romantic hero. And that is not what Irfan ever was. Like even in a movie like Makbul, the longing with which he
Mm,
looks at Tabu, And Irfan was never anyone that would be considered handsome,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. You just
Yeah.
see his face and his eyes and just the acting, man. I mean, beautiful. Even his role as Rana in Piku. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, he is
Yeah.
aces in
Yeah.
romantic. I will stop now because I can talk about Irfan until like
I don't think
until
you'll get
the
any
rest of the
argument
day.
from anyone about that award.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you give the award for? Does not pass the vibe check.
So tell me more what that means to you before I answer.
Like in theory, they're fine, but there's just something about them that you're
Uh,
like, ugh. Like, have you heard the phrase BEC? Bitch
oh
eating
yeah.
crackers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like that, where it's kind of
Yeah.
like, in theory, Beth says I should like this person. And I'm like, yeah, I know, Beth, but like they just don't pass the vibe check. Like,
So
no.
here's who comes to mind. This is perhaps I'm saying this because of something you said earlier in this recording, which
Mm.
is Shahid Kapoor, man, you're weird in
Ah,
real life. Your whole thing is weird. And then you did Kabir Singh. Yuck.
yeah.
Yuck. I do think you're a good actor, but
Right, right.
question your choices.
Yeah, I think I would say that too about Shahid Kapoor because I've always wondered why he did not become the superstar that he could have been because he really has it all.
Mm.
Like all the ingredients that you need to be a superstar. And I think maybe he just doesn't pass the vibe check for a lot of people. But I would agree, there's something about him in his interviews and stuff. He's very, first of all, he's very mansplainy, which is very exhausting. There's something very patronizing about the way he speaks, which immediately just makes you go, ugh, please stop. So yeah. But when I can get past that and when I listen to what he has to say, actually I feel like he's very intelligent. Like I don't
Mm.
disagree with the things he says, and he is
Mm.
very insightful. Like when
Mm.
he makes certain points about films or the film industry or his role or whatever, he actually makes a lot of sense. I just can't get past the, yeah. So Shahid Kapoor, perfect example of someone who just doesn't pass the vibe check. For me, I would say Amitabh Bachchan.
Mm.
um I know he's considered like the greatest superstar ever or whatever. He just does not pass the vibe check. There's just something about him that just comes across as so smarmy to me that I just can't.
Do you
It's
think
just,
that anyone in the position he's in could pass the vibe check, or is it impossible when you've reached the amount and the shape of stardom that he has?
no, he could. I mean, like Rajesh Khanna was a bigger superstar than he was, and Rajesh Khanna does not give me the ick. Shah Rukh Khan is a massive superstar.
Rajesh
He does
Khanna
not give
does
me
not
the
give you
ick.
the ick?
No, I actually like
Oh,
him. Yeah,
interesting.
Rajesh Khanna, especially in his heyday, like when he did movies like Amar Prem and Anand and Aradhana, I thought he was lovely. Um, he does not give me the ick at all.
On
And
film,
Shah
I
Rukh,
don't
I
mind him,
love.
but as a person, he gives me the ick.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Amitabh, I don't even like him on screen. And I've
Okay.
seen so many of his good movies. I'm not saying anything about his acting, right? Like I love him in Agnipath. I love him in Zanjeer. I mean, his filmography is legendary. There is no argument about that. It's just something about him, but that's what vibe check is. Whereas like, I don't like you, you give me the ick. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Last question for you, Beth Watkins, our esteemed jury of the Bimal Pan Masala Haldiram Farsan Lakhani Shoes Geo Filmfare Awards. Delulu is the Solulu. Who is the most Delulu person in Bollywood?
I mean, you already named her. It's Kangana, right?
Yeah.
She's up there anyway.
Yeah. I would also vote for Kangna. I think Kangna is definitely Delulu.
Oh,
Um,
is Uday Chopra Delulu? Is this Solulu?
I feel like Uday Chopra was definitely very delulu back in the Mohabbatein and Dhoom days, but I think he eventually figured out that the
But
film industry
then
wasn't
when
for
he
him and he kind
came
of walked
on,
away.
when he was
Oh,
in
the
the Romantics,
romantics.
like if we stopped before the Romantics, I wouldn't have even bothered to bring him up. But since he was re-put on our
Radar.
radars within the last, what was that, like a year and a half ago? Oh,
Yeah. Ooh, you know another person who is the definition of delulu? Okay. I like Anil Kapoor as an actor, but I really wonder what him and his wife taught their children because their children are the definition of delusional. Sonam Kapoor is one of the most delusional people. I've had the misfortune of watching
oh
interviews of. She's
my.
horrible.
Oh
I've seen an
no.
interview where she was telling Rajkumar Rao about acting, I was like, please stop.
Mm.
Also, Harshvardhan Kapoor. Reddit calls him Harshvardhan Kapoor. He is terrible. He
Oh.
is so delusional, Beth. In an interview, he was actually asked about his attempts to do movies in Hollywood or whatever, because apparently Bollywood is not good enough for Harshvardhan Kapoor because he's a student of world cinema and he pretty much would only like to work in Western movies. But he said that he had auditioned for Slumdog Millionaire, and here's the best part about it. He didn't get the role in Slumdog Millionaire because the producers thought he was too handsome. I was like, you are not Hrithik Roshan. Get over yourself. Half the time, you don't even know how to shave. The man is weird. He also had a gigantic Twitter meltdown because he's like a
Oh.
sneakerhead. And he was very upset about the fact that a lot of people in India who really like sneakers buy like, like cheap sneakers and stuff. And he had like a legit meltdown in a country where so many people live below the poverty line and do not have food to eat and go to bed hungry. He was mad that people were buying like knockoff sneakers or cheap sneakers. I was like, you are delulu to the max. So I
Mm.
would say the whole Anil Kapoor family is delulu. I don't know about Anil Kapoor, but his kids are delulu. So yeah, thank you for being the judge and jury of our amazing award show.
Readers, or listener, I always say readers, listeners, when I saw this message from Pitu with the name of the award show, I just started to laugh and laugh and laugh. I'm like, I'm so sad that I must attend to some work right now and cannot read this fully because this is obviously great.
Okay, I think that was our question and answer session. That was
This
a
was
lot
a
of fun.
bumper Diwali episode of almost an hour and a half long.
There were a lot of firecrackers, weren't there? There were a lot of fireworks happening. Okay, amazing. Did you have anything else to add, or should we wrap up?
No, I don't. Happy Diwali, everybody.
Yeah, happy Diwali. Eat lots of sweets, eat lots of yummy things. Make sure you keep some jalebi for me because that's my favorite
Oh,
Indian sweet. Oh,
delicious.
what is your favorite Diwali sweet?
Okay,
There are
so
so many.
I mean, I'm not super well educated in this, but I would never say no to a jalebi. And my I have a dream that has not yet happened, which is to have, and I don't know where I can do this. I need to be somewhere very specific. I want a piping hot fresh jalebi in one hand, and I want a piping hot fresh like cappuccino in the other. Because I feel like the
Okay.
bitter and the sweet would be so good together. Because a lot
Indian
of people are like
weddings.
coffee and donuts, obviously, but I'm not really a donut person. So
Mm.
like the okay, so I need to go to an Indian wedding,
You
but
need to go to an Indian wedding.
where there's also really good espresso.
Yes, because
Okay.
a lot of fancy Indian weddings do have like the coffee thing happening where
Okay.
there's like a
Okay.
barista and everything, and they're
Okay.
making
Great.
things for you, so you could do that.
Great.
But
Great.
my favorite thing at Indian weddings is like the first thing I scope out is if there's going to be a jalebi stall, because
Uh,
in a lot of Indian weddings they'll have like a jalebi wala, and he has the thing where he's making fresh jalebis for you, and they have next to it they have like the matka kulfi or whatever next to it,
mm,
and then you can get in your bowl, you can get your jalebi and you can put like kulfi stuff on top of it and things like that, and it is so good. I love that.
amazing.
But my favorite thing about Indian weddings is always the sweets, and I always like
Mm.
head straight to that. I also love gulab jamuns. Oh, so good.
I
Kala
also
jamun too. Mm.
I am one of the people who loves I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it son papri?
Oh yeah, son papdi. Hmm.
I love that. And I know some people seem to find it weird, but I just think it's delicious. And I've taken it to work and tried to get my colleagues to eat it and everything. I'm like, okay, it looks like fiberglass, but it
Yeah.
tastes amazing. Please try it. And people are you watch them eat it and they're like, I'm so confused as to what's in my mouth. And most of them like it, but it's I know I really like that one.
I had a neighbor in Chicago called Natalia who was absolutely obsessed with soda papdi. She was originally Ukrainian, and I have no idea where she ate soda papdi for the first time. I think she had like
Such
an
an
Indian
interesting
colleague.
texture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was obsessed. And when we moved into our house in Chicago, one of the first things she said, she was like, "Are you Indian?" I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "I love soda papdi." I was like, okay,
Interesting.
interesting conversation. So after that, whenever I would go to Devon, I would always pick up son papdi for her.
Aw.
And she had only eaten like the normal flavor of son papdi, but Haldiram's does make son papdi that has like the elaichi flavor, and they also make
Uh-huh.
like a citrus, like an orange flavored
There's
son
a
papdi.
pineapple one, I think, too, or at
There
least
is.
I've
I
seen.
haven't had
Yeah,
that,
I haven't
but
either.
so when I brought those flavors for her, she like blew a gasket. She could not
Oh,
believe it. She was like, what? Like her world had suddenly expanded. It was so great. I'm not the biggest fan of Son Papdi, but I've bought
no.
a lot of Son Papdi in the years that I lived in Chicago, and it was all for Natalia.
The last time I was in India, which was 2016, oh gosh,
Hmm.
I was in Calcutta for Durga Puja,
Oh,
and
nice.
I had some amazing sweets. I have no idea what they were. I have a few
Right.
pictures of them, but there was one that came from we just walked to a little shop and got, I don't know what
Yeah.
we were staying with my friend Greta's friends,
Right.
Calcuttans who opened their home to us very kindly. And they were just like, and like we got this box,
Right.
and I don't even know what I was eating, but it was so, so good. I still think about
Yeah.
that little thing that I ate.
I wonder what I mean, you would know Roshogola and Rasmalai
Yeah, it wasn't
and
any of
Cham Cham.
as
Was
far
it
as I know, it
Mohan
wasn't
Thal?
any of the, I don't know. I'll send you a picture and you can tell me
Yeah,
what you
send me a
think it is.
picture. Okay. Sounds good. All right. I'm actually for Friendsgiving, I'm gonna make a gulab jamun cake,
We did
which I
Indian
love.
Thanksgiving a few years ago, and that was
Yeah.
that was really fun.
I love gulab jamun cake, and it's a massive one that I make in a bundt pan. So I can only make
Mm,
it for like big like groups of people because it's too massive, and it has like milk powder in it, so it's very thick and heavy. And I
yeah.
decorate it with like rose petals.
Oh,
Listeners, if you want to know where the recipe is from, it's from my favorite food blogger whose cookbook I was part of the crowdfunding for it, and her name is
nice.
Sanjana Feasts. And
Ah,
her gulab jamun cake is, you cannot go wrong with that recipe. It does take a
wow.
lot of time to make it, but it's completely worth it. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Happy Diwali. And tell us what you thought about the quiz and give us your answers. We are very keen to read about those. Bye.